Hello and welcome to Who Knew, where we're fans of the current series of Doctor Who, where we talk about our likes, dislikes, and insights into this current series. Today's episode is episode 9, The Empty Child. This episode first aired on the 21st of May, 2005. It has the Doctor and Rose return to London during the Blitz and meet a dashing time agent and a creepy kid in a gas mask.
Don't you want us to say hello? Hello.
What's coming up? Sorry, when did you guys get here? All right, let's go around the table.
All right, hello, this is Kelsey.
Hi, this is Josh.
This is Arlene.
Hello, this is Frank.
Hi, this is Brian.
This is Eugene, and Alburn is a little under the weather today, but we will forge on as he would like us to.
Better than under the table.
So The Empty Child is written by Stephen Moffat, directed by James Hawes. Anything? No?
Who is this Moffat that you speak of?
This is the first episode done by Stephen Moffat, and we will see more episodes from him later.
Oh, yay.
So The Empty Child earned a final ratings of 7.11 million viewers. In this episode, it opens with the TARDIS chasing through space after a metal cylinder. We know nothing more than that it has been flagged by a Mauve emergency, the universal color for danger. The TARDIS locks onto the tube as it bounces through time, arriving in London about a month after the mysterious cylinder.
Thank you so much for pronouncing it mauve,
Yes.
because the British pronounce it mauve,
Mauve.
and I don't know where you get an O out of an AU.
I'm like, we're Americans.
We speak American.
Where did that color originate, though?
By God.
Is it a
It's
synthetic
mauve
color?
in nature.
Is it synthetic? Is it?
I think it might be a synthetic color.
It's not on the rainbow.
Yeah, I don't
But
know.
still mauve.
I agree.
But I do like how Rose points out, what happened to red?
Yeah. No, that's camp.
Yeah.
Oh, all the confusion, all the dancing.
Well, that's the first reference to dancing. Let's go in that. The red
Yeah.
alerts.
Yes.
Yeah. A lot of references to dancing.
In this episode, yeah, or next, anyway. The Doctor thinks the object would have been seen as it came down and possibly mistaken for a meteorite. Rose hears a child calling for his mommy and leaves the Doctor to investigate. The Doctor goes into a nightclub to ask the locals if anyone saw something fall from the sky, and in response, he gets nervous laughter. The Doctor is confused by the laughter, which is cut off by an air raid siren. He then sees a poster and realizes they landed during World War II.
And I was confused at this point because I feel like every time we see the Doctor exit the TARDIS, he explains to Rose, we're in,
He's always wrong, though.
we're in British.
Yeah, but he always has an idea.
We're in Britain in World War II.
Yeah,
but
this
is
one
that
he is
only...
very- It might have been distracted by chasing.
Something.
Okay, I
Because
was
they're
going to
saying
say,
that-
is that only when he purposely punches in, I'm going to go here, and now we're here, and...
No, sometimes they've actually had it written where he's like, oh, I know the time just by the...
Smell.
Yeah.
Right, so that's why I was confused. I was like, what do you mean you have to go figure out where you are and what time it is?
Well, because they do
let's
say the
blame
cylinder, but they they do say that cylinder is bouncing through different times. So the TARDIS is locked onto it, so it's following it, but kind of like being dragged behind. So it's not always exactly in the same time and space. So it is just following, and it could have been recently, 2015, and then it just jumped back. And so, okay, we were here, we followed it, we're close to it within a couple of weeks, maybe a month. Where we are, I don't know. I know it was heading for London. It's still the same place that it's heading for. So I think it's just because it's been jumping around so much, we just don't know at this point. Why he didn't check? Because I'm sure the TARDIS tells you where it is, but
Then it would spoil that joke.
yeah, it was just part of the setup as well.
Yeah.
But I love the. Go ahead.
Go ahead, you first.
I just love the banter that the Doctor and Rose have had in these last two scenes. I thought it was just well written, a lot of fun. They were talking about, she's just going, well, is that a little bit off? Or was that really technically a little bit? And just how she's saying it is just, I thought it was a lot of fun between the two.
And we get our Star Trek reference.
Which was what? I can't remember.
Do a little Spock.
Oh, yes.
Scan
yes.
for alien technology, and he doesn't want to. He wants to investigate.
The run.
And come on, can't you do a little Spock?
Oh, she says in the beginning, I didn't catch
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
I didn't catch that.
But that's so the Doctor. It's like, no, we're here. This is the fun part, is to actually investigate,
figure
talk
it
to the
out.
people, interact.
Yeah.
It's like, this thing's huge. It would have fallen down. People would have seen it. We can just talk. We don't have to go through the tech. It's so cold for him.
Also, when he reintroduces the psychic paper to her. Is this the first reference to John Smith in this
In
series?
this incarnation?
Yeah, in this incarnation.
I believe so.
I think this is the first time he's John Smith
Did it say? Where did it say John Smith?
on the psychic paper.
Yeah.
When she in the
Well, because
beginning,
they're
when
walking in and he
yeah.
says, I'll be,
Okay.
and she's like, yes, I know the psychic paper, but his identity on the psychic paper says John Smith, and I think it's the first time in this classic series that he's referred to as John Smith.
I was wondering, was there a big gap in when this episode aired? Because I felt like that was delivered with a lot of like exposition in the way that they said it, as if somebody watching never had heard of it before, as opposed to it being something they referenced.
I think they just
Like,
wanted
yes,
to
psychic-
remind
The
people
show
what
was
psychic
still new.
paper is. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're
it
still
just-
early
it-
on in
yeah.
the, so and the psychic paper wasn't in the classic series, so
No.
people weren't familiar with
But this
it.
is what episode is this? This is like
Episode 9.
9, yeah. So I just felt very obvious for something so late in the season for them to explain it so obviously.
It is the Ninth Doctor's 9th episode, the golden episode.
When did we last get the psychic paper used? Was it?
I think it was in the last episode.
Was it the long game?
Yeah, I think he did in the long game.
Yeah.
And I think, because Simon Pegg's character knew what it was, didn't he?
So that was May 7th, and then The Empty Child aired on May 21st, so the same month.
I don't know. It stuck out to me.
Okay.
I just
Yeah,
think
it
they
stuck
were,
out to me too because I was thinking, wait, we've seen the psychic paper before. You don't have to explain it again. But
They had to.
No, I think they just really did it for the setup of
The show
later.
or the episode.
No, later
Later on
in
with
the-
Jack and
with Jack.
Rose.
It's just
Oh,
kind
yeah.
of like I
I
want
can
to
see that.
remind you,
This thing
Yeah.
so you
exists.
don't miss it.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, because if someone who happened to not watch it before, if it was just a quick reference, they may have missed it.
All right. So meanwhile, outside, Rose sees a young boy in a gas mask on the roof of a nearby building. She climbs up the fire escape to the roof and sees that the boy is on top of a storage compartment.
Nothing
Storage
creepier
compartment.
than
Storage compartment?
It's a
Star Trek reference, people.
Sorry, we had to do
All
it.
right.
We're having crossovers. Might as well keep going.
There's nothing
Way
creepier
over my head.
than a lone kid standing by himself doing nothing.
And saying, "Mommy,
You could be saying anything like that.
Mommy."
You'd be saying, "Happy Meal number 1, please."
Oh yeah, that's pretty creepy.
I think the lighting on him is great. Like, it's really just completely black, and then just a highlight, so you can tell it's a gas mask. It's very effective.
Yes.
I don't know.
The
Yeah, it's very
backlighting. And,
creepy.
yeah.
Yeah. So then after this, Rose seeing the boy, a rope conveniently appears, and Rose grabs onto it to climb the rest of the way. The rope moves away from the building, taking Rose along with it. We see it is attached to a barrage balloon, and Rose sees parts of London on fire as the air raid begins.
And she ends up hanging on to that thing for at least a half an hour,
Yeah.
which
Well,
she's been doing
showtime.
that her grip is so strong.
But it's also a reference back to the first episode, Rose, where she was a gymnast.
So she's got that stamina.
All right, still.
Skill.
I could believe time travel and a gas mask baby before I can believe someone hanging onto a rope for a half an hour.
I really don't think it was that long in the story.
It cuts
itself.
back and forth quite a bit.
It cuts back and forth, so things are happening simultaneously. So
Yeah, she doesn't wrap it around her leg. She doesn't do anything.
Yeah, she does
but-
wrap it around her leg.
Does she? All
She
right.
does, and then she slides down. I mean, you can see her progressing down that rope to the very end.
Okay.
With a big Union Jack on her shirt.
Right.
It was just hysterical.
The doctor heads to the TARDIS while looking for Rose. The phone rings on the TARDIS. Dun, dun, dun. A girl shows up, Nancy, and tells the doctor not to answer it. It's not for him. She runs off, and the doctor answers the phone anyway to hear a child's voice ask, "Are you my mommy?" I wanted to point out here that the phone is blue as opposed to cream. I don't know
Okay.
if anybody recognized that before, but the phone has always been the phone, and then the wall around the phone has
Have
been
we seen the phone
green.
before that moment?
I think we have.
No, I don't think we.
No, because
I
there's
think
an
this is the first
old-fashioned
time.
one which had the speaker and then the
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
a real
this
old
is an
fashioned.
pick up.
old-fashioned phone.
differently rather than the regular receiver.
But this is the only time we see it this darker blue color. Every time we've seen it before, it's been like a cream white color.
But when have we seen it before?
or after.
Or I'm thinking the older series and after this episode in this current incarnation. I'm just saying, just pointing that out.
But in other incarnations, the phone works. This is what
Yeah, this one, it's just,
I guess the doctor fixed it. He said, "Hey, this is kind of nice to have a phone."
that's true. yeah, it's the phone is not supposed to be real. And okay, anything else?
Well, the doctor picks up the cat and just like out of all the things he's ever seen, is he'll finally get a companion that doesn't wander off.
Because cats never wander off.
I think the doctor would be bored with a companion that just stays and does exactly what they're supposed to do. That's not what he's looking for in a companion.
He loves that they wander.
Except for in this scene, because he says that's rule number 1: never wander off.
No,
That's
rule
all-
number 1 is Doctor lies. So he's lying.
Well, he also says, of all the things that I've seen, this is the only thing that still surprises me or something.
Yeah.
It's like people wandering off.
Yeah.
I think that's funny.
It's very funny.
So back to, I guess, Nancy. Many houses are left during the air raid. They're left empty as their occupants take cover in bomb shelters. The doctor finds Nancy in one of these houses feeding a group of homeless children. He asks Nancy about the phone call and then asks the other children if they have seen Rose. He also asks if they have seen the cylinder, but before anyone can answer, there is a knock on the window. A little boy in a gas mask asking for his mommy. Terrified, Nancy tells the doctor that is not a child and orders the other kids to run out the back. She tells the doctor not to let him touch Hugh, or he'll make you like him. When the doctor asks her, what does that mean? She replies, he's empty. The child moves to the front door and the foyer phone rings. Nancy says it's him. He can make phones ring. She leaves the doctor alone. The child reaches through the mail slot, showing a scar on the back of his right hand. The doctor tells him that his mommy is not here. The child asks to be let in because he is scared of the bombs. The doctor agrees, but by the time he unlocks the door, the child has vanished.
I
Like a
don't really
ninja.
get why. What is it?
Like a ninja.
Yes.
Just like Nancy.
I didn't get why he would be gone if he's trying to get in, besides it being scary.
Because he wants his mommy, and his mommy's not there. He just,
Oh.
I'll let you in. Well, yeah. Go find
Okay.
my mom. I think that's what it is. It just seemed the quest is what he's
Yeah.
trying to find, and it's
No, that makes sense.
Yeah, and is this also the scene where the empty child makes like he speaks through the radio and he speaks through that monkey?
The monkey, right. The
monkey,
symbols?
like-
Anything that has a speaker.
So creepy,
Like
right?
Monkey
I
Shine,
remember
the movie
watching
Monkey
this
Shine?
and just being like, "This is so much creepier than any of the previous episodes." And then when you said it was Moffat's first episode, I'm like, "Oh, well, that's why."
And
Or,
even-
my question is that why this episode is so much more creepy than everything else because
yeah.
Moffat was writing it?
Yeah.
So creepy.
even the camera angles are just slightly
there's-
off,
yeah.
which is great. It just the old time chills.
Yeah, like the Dutch angles at the door. It's just classic scary, but not dumb by the book.
And even when the kids were crossing the street and you see the gas
POV,
mask
the POV,
point of view, yeah, everything was creep factor.
Yeah. And for someone like me who does not like scary movies, it's like episodes like this like make me want to stop watching Doctor Who, but then at the same time keep watching Doctor Who because it's creepy, but then you feel a ruch after the
It's the old
scene
behind
where-
the sofa.
Yeah,
All the that they say kids hide behind the sofa, peering out so you can still watch it.
It was very Twilight Zone-y.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because John Barrowman, who plays Captain Jack, says that he remembers watching Doctor Who after he's taken the Saturday night bath, and then his hair is all combed back and still wet, and still behind the couch watching Doctor Who. So this is like, yes, this is supposed to scare kids. And speaking of that,
and
this
adults. Scared.
speaking of the scare factor, this episode ranked a 5 on the fear factor scale, and not the show fear factor.
But
What does that mean? Ranked to 5 on
Is it
the
1 to
fear
5?
factor?
Fear
They
factor
warned-
scale
They
is
warned
a-
parents ahead of time. How scary is this upcoming episode
Yeah.
of Doctor Who?
Oh, is that a British
I actually
thing?
thought it
Okay.
was I actually thought it was called Behind the Sofa as the
factor scale.
There was a scale of behind the sofa scale.
Kind of like the American version of PG-13, G.
Oh, the TV
That they
ratings.
started
Yeah.
doing on TVs like a couple decades
but
ago.
this is a little bit more,
Yeah.
I think the fear factor scale goes from 1 to 4, and this rated a 5. I'm just kidding. I don't even know.
Now Nancy's carving the food that's at the table.
Yes.
And they're all saying, all the other kids are saying, there's no reason anyone should have this much food. It's got to be black market food. Which I thought was interesting to bring it up then because it's coming up later on.
Yeah, because we see it's just a mom and a dad and a kid that live in this house. That's a
that's
lot
right.
of food.
That comes back in the second episode, though, doesn't it?
I think so.
The mom and the dad
Later in
look
this
well
episode.
fed, though.
They do look
like they're
well-fed.
used to eating that amount of food
No,
every day.
But they also start touching on what the kids have gone through, that they have been going to the country, but they've all come back because
Some of them.
They're-
the ones that are there, yes.
I
Some of
found
them
that
come back
interesting.
because of all the abuse that they would have.
There was a man there.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't
That
just that
was
one,
such
but it was, yeah.
That was
It
creepy
then
too.
the other
and
kid
it's-
also happened. And just how
'cause
horrible
normally-
this was.
You know, for us, it's like you think about when they, during World War II, when they sent the kids away, it's, you know, Chronicles of Narnia.
Right.
And Lion, the Witch, and the... It was wonderful. It was an adventure. And I like that this was kind of a little bit more realistic.
More real. Yeah, exactly.
And I feel like they really get to a point where they're making you sympathize with all these children, because even when the empty child sticks his hand through and he says, "I'm scared," you're like, "Oh, it's a tiny little hand and it's cut
Poor
and he's
little kid.
scared."
Yeah, you see that he has
Like,
a wound.
you're like-
He
you're
wants
like,
a yeah.
"Oh." It just like broke my heart. I'm like, "You're a scary little thing, but that's so sad."
I think that it's great that Moffat is able to blend scary and like empathy toward this
Yeah.
this like
It's not just a Dalek.
yeah it's
Right.
it's like an image, but it's not a person yet. You know, it's really effective.
Yeah.
An
But he also
emotional
adds
manipulator is what he is.
But he also adds in comedy about the whole West End musical, you know, Oliver with
right,
Nancy
yeah,
and
yeah,
all that.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. And I love
Oh, Nancy, that's right.
I love the Nancy manners at all times. You know, we're in the middle of an air raid, but that
And stealing
doesn't mean-
food, and we're
Well,
Yes,
Yeah.
they're stealing room. You
Yeah.
break into a house, you're stealing food. Still, manners.
But,
Still
but
carving.
she
Sit
also
down.
was just like,
Very British.
you know, we're just taking the food, but we're actually going to clean up when we're done.
and they're also taking one portion or one
Yeah,
slice.
one slice, yeah.
Not
So-
more than you need.
Yeah, I love that about Nancy.
And I also wanted to point out here that when the empty child is knocking at the door, the doctor is the one to like talk to it rather than that thing is scary, run away from it. Where Rose is normally the one talking to whatever new
yeah.
thing is
Right.
introduced in this episode.
Oh yeah, if Rose had been there, she would have run up to it and gotten changed immediately.
Yeah.
End of episode.
She went chasing after it to begin with.
Yeah, she almost did.
Right, it's
Yeah,
true.
that's true. Yeah.
But that's also convenient, so she doesn't get touched by it
I guess she never saw The Shining.
or monkey shine.
Did you already talk about the introduction of Jack?
Not yet, because it's coming up. So the introduction of Jack.
Dun dun dun.
As played by John Barrowman is here. Rose is seen literally dangling at the end of her rope from a barrage balloon by an RAF soldier, Captain Jack Harkness,
American volunteer.
American volunteer. Some of us may know this from Pearl Harbor, and Ben Affleck played an RAF volunteer. So if you don't know what
No,
I
we would not
got
have known
Pearl
that.
Harbor memorized.
So if you don't know what an American is doing in the Royal Air Force, that's why. As he
When
fa-
America wasn't even at war yet,
That's right. That's why they had to be volunteered.
they had to volunteer.
As she falls, he deploys a tractor beam and catches her in mid-fall. He brings her into his spaceship, which is floating outside Big Ben. Rose's hands are injured from rope burns, and Jack uses the nanogenes in the ship to quickly heal her hands. It turns out that Captain Jack is a former time agent and assumes Rose is also a time agent because of her clothes and technology. He says he has something the agency would be interested in buying and asks if she has the authority to negotiate payment. She plays along and says she needs to talk to her companion.
Okay, one thing about this.
Yes.
I mean, I love the introduction of Jack. I love Jack. Jack is a great character. But one thing that gets me is, I mean, we can all pretty much agree that the air raid has gone on for a while. now.
Quite a while, yeah.
It's quite a while. He is standing on a balcony with the windows open and all the lights are on from everybody inside still partying.
It looks
Unless
like
that's sort of a
yeah.
time cut, like even though screen time, it's a while after we saw a bunch of stuff.
But she's hanging from the barrage balloon. And remember when we first saw her on the barrage balloon, the planes were already over London. And
Yeah.
there were existing fires in London. So it's been going on for a while. And it's like, turn the lights off.
Yeah.
That has always bugged me. I mean, you know,
It
we
serves
need
the
it for
story,
the plot. Yeah,
yeah,
we need it
but-
for the plot.
Well,
It's
it's
a
also
good cognac. You do not rush good cognac.
Well, and also Jack wouldn't be caught dead in bad lighting. But you know, it's one of those things. It's just like it's such a glaring mistake for me, where it's just like they wouldn't do that. But it serves the story, and I can move on.
And this is our first introduction of John Barrowman as Captain Jack Harkness, and we will see him later.
A lot.
Yeah, a lot later.
And he's a very sexual person.
Yes, and we will find out why.
But he's like coming on to Rose. He's coming on to the other.
And he checks out her jeans.
Yes. But also the other
soldier,
there.
Yeah.
who I was
Checking out
surprised
his.
smiled at the compliment in 1941.
If Jack said that to me, I'd smile.
In 1941, you'd smile more to yourself.
Well, that's true.
Well, I'd smile at Brian smiling at Jack smiling at him.
Now we're getting confused.
Did you also catch that he called it a cell phone? Thank you, you American.
Yes,
you.
that's right, because
They
they
call it
American
call it
you.
mobile
Yeah.
rather than a cell phone.
Yeah,
'cause
but
Jack
the
is
Cell phone
American.
is interfering with my instruments. Oh, nobody believes that.
Yeah, that was funny.
Please shut this
but that
off.
doesn't happen anymore.
We don't know that.
Well, you still turn it off at the beginning of the flight, at the end of the flight.
That's true.
Well, let's face it, we just don't want you yapping in our ear for 5 hours.
Right,
but,
right. But
but it was a funny joke. But I love that
But
because I didn't even catch it until like this today when we were watching it today, going, wait, he says cell phone
Because he's
Oh, that's
playing
great, 'cause
American.
he's an
so
American.
yeah, but
the
they have
terminology.
Americans say other British terms throughout the series. I remember catching here and there.
Oh, yeah.
But that probably was why he said it. Yeah. I'll be sure to point out that minutia
little bit more
as
real-
time goes on.
It's a little
That's
bit more
wonderful.
realistic.
What's that?
It's a little bit more realistic.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I love her hello twice.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. The doctor then tracks down Nancy and tells her that he knows she's running from something that began about a month ago. At the same time, the cylinder arrived. He asks Nancy to take him to the cylinder, the bomb that isn't a bomb, but she says it's surrounded by barbed wire and guards. She tells him that if he really wants to go, there is someone he needs to see first. He asks who that is, and she replies, the doctor.
Well, I thought that was interesting because I was wondering, with his look, is it another incarnation of his?
That's what I thought when it first started. Like, is he already there?
Because he's been in
Yeah.
London during this time period, and he will be in London during this time period as well. So it's a major point in time. He keeps crossing.
Yes.
He also looked worried too.
Mm-hmm.
He was like,
What?
"What's going on?"
And I love the phrase, the boy who's not a boy and the bomb that's not a bomb. I just like how they describe that.
And here we have another, I guess, jabbing at Christopher Eccleston's appearance with his nose having special powers. And she goes, oh, what about the ears?
Well, Nancy can give, so that's fun. She
Yeah.
can give some good banter too.
Yeah, that's great.
The doctor, I'm looking at these people are looking at me that don't remember what we're talking about. But the doctor said, to Nancy, he found her because his nose has special powers. She goes, is that why it's so? And cut herself off. And he's like, what? Go ahead. No, because she won't say how big it is. And then,
Right, because she's polite, British,
Right.
British manners.
So, are your ears have special powers too?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just a cute scene of Nancy. I think I really like
Does
that.
that actress show up again? She looked really familiar.
I don't think in Doctor Who.
They're just in this two-part from what I understand.
Yeah, just this. We will look her up later. Or now. But I will continue. Meanwhile, Jack and Rose continue flirting while dancing atop his spaceship. He tells Rose that he came across a Chula warship that has been parked in London. He will sell it to the time agency, but they will have to reach a price within 2 hours because that is when the Germans will drop a bomb at that location, destroying it. Rose tells him she delegates the business end of things to her companion, so Jack scans the city for alien tech to find him.
Finally, a professional.
Right.
See, Captain Jack is better in every way.
Okay.
There we go.
Why do you have to choose?
And is this like the scene where it is explained why this bomb raid has been going on for so long?
Sorry, I wanna
that
go
it's
back-
like historically.
I want to
the
go back to
longest
Arlene
one.
when Frank said, you have to choose. I could see her mentally choosing in her mind.
Yes, I was. Throughout all the doctors that I've seen, yep, Jack still wins.
Sorry, go ahead, Kelsey.
No, it's okay.
No, just that.
Because you had asked earlier, like, why, or someone had asked, like, why is this going on for so long?
Yeah, I
And-
don't think it was that long, but it was known. This is a point in history
Oh,
But they
it was
don't-
an extra long one?
No.
No, they said it was that Blitz, and they knew the bombs would be coming and what would
And
be hit.
yeah, they went on for hours. And they came in waves. It was terrible. It was horrible. What did we say? 8 months?
Yes.
Yeah. The London Blitz was relentless.
Well, that's probably why Mr. Lloyd was so angry that he had to go into a shelter and not finish his food.
Yeah,
Again.
yeah,
he,
they
he-
were, yeah.
he didn't know how long it would be.
Well, and it's every single night. You know?
Yeah.
So, also, I just want to say that also referring back to my earlier comment, turning on Big Ben in the middle of an air raid
Yeah.
is a really bad
And
idea.
decloaking your spaceship
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
just-
standing on top of it.
Drinking, dancing. But
But
it's
it was
very,
a great visual.
Yes.
Yeah.
yeah, it wasn't awesome.
Well, the way I
Although
sort of
don't
took that
think
is that everything comes second to, sexual advances with Jack.
Right.
So
But
even,
also, no
even
one's going to
safety.
be outside looking at it.
Well,
anyway.
how about the
Everyone's in
planes that are
bomb
Well,
shelter.
yeah,
bombing?
but the German pilots will, and also, there are military people
Right.
on top of the buildings, looking at the bombers. So they'd be like, "Big Ben just turned on."
Yeah. Right next to the spaceship.
Yeah. Oh, and
And
there's
there's
something else.
people
That had wonderful
dancing.
lighting
Yes.
right on it.
Exactly.
Yes.
would they have called that a Foo Fighter at this point in time?
Take it back. I also don't think the clock worked.
That's real. Foo Fighters.
The
do you
clock
mean?
said 9:30.
Oh,
The
yeah?
entire scene.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, that's
Right.
because of editing.
Wow.
Or was it that
Just saying.
not
Or that
running?
it was off.
Oh no, the clock ran. They just didn't. You didn't get the chimes. Yeah. The
Well, maybe
chimes.
they just didn't get. Who knows?
Thanks, Jack.
So Nancy leads the doctor to the cylinder, which is next to the Albion Hospital, which is our second appearance of this hospital.
Yes.
Oh, when was the
Oh,
first?
when was the first one?
In,
This is where the pig pilot was taken in Aliens of London to be examined.
Oh.
and then killed.
Oh, poor pig.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was just scared.
And also the crane shot that establishes the Albion Hospital is a really good and effective crane shot, and they probably use the same crane from the long game in this one.
But this is also where the doctor gives his "Up with Britain" speech.
Oh yes, that's a great speech.
I love that speech. It's just so cool. Where he's just like,
The warm
Hitler's running
war
over
machine.
Europe, and one tiny little damp,
Island.
wet island says no. It's like, yay, Saint Crispian.
It's got to be in a contract where they have to include that type of speech in every Doctor Who. I look at it as like, there's Britain again patting themselves on the back. Like, oh, yes, good on us.
Here, here.
But I like them, but still, it's always like, oh, come on, guys. You're not. Okay, all right.
Well,
Or
But it
it's
was where
like,
it stopped. It
but I
was where
can't
their
say
advantage-
anything because America, we're number one.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
So-
Of all the
the number of times.
USA, USA.
No.
The contrast, Britain to U.S. It just
The
doesn't-
4th of July will no longer be America's Independence Day. We'll give it to everybody.
Okay. So the doctor wants to get to the cylinder, but Nancy insists he must go to the hospital and see the doctor first. Because once he does, he may not want to go back to the cylinder or go to the cylinder for the first time. The doctor asks who she lost. She tells him her little brother Jamie, the night the cylinder came down.
This is
Yes.
a good scene between the two.
Oh, yeah. I'll save that for later. The doctor goes in. Yes, go ahead.
Well, it was the whole thing about he could see that she lost somebody by the way she said something or another, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
that's
way
what
she's
he
watching
did.
out for all the other kids.
The way she's watching out for all the other kids, which is what he does because he lost everybody.
Right. We'll see more of that coming up. The doctor goes into the hospital where he finds hundreds of people in gas masks laying dead in the beds. He meets Dr. Constantine and tells him Nancy sent him. Dr. Constantine tells the doctor to examine the bodies. They all have the same identical injuries, but most notably, a gas mask fused to their face and a scar on the back of their hand. Dr. Constantine tells him that when the cylinder dropped, there was only one victim. By the next day, all the doctors and nurses who treated him and touched him had the same injuries. Within a week, the entire hospital was the same. He then reveals that they are not dead, even though they have no heartbeat or other signs of life. He is having a difficult time saying this to the doctor. And he says that he needs to go to the top floor, room 802, where they first took the first victim, Jamie, Nancy's little brother. He begins to transform in front of the doctor. He asks the doctor, "Are you my mommy?" as his face mutates and becomes a gas mask.
Talk about creepy. That is the
yeah.
creepiest scene.
It
And
was so good.
that actor, Dr. Constantine,
He just gave it gravitas.
is just great. It was
I
just
think the
perfect.
mouth part was the one that just really got
Oh,
me.
His eyes turn into the
eyeballs.
lenses.
Oh.
But you didn't mention in there that when he says that they're dead, I mean, they're not dead. He made a noise and woke them all up, so they all sat up, which was creepy in and of itself as well.
Oh yeah.
Instead of just saying they were dead. I mean, not dead.
Yeah.
And the
I know what you meant.
Dr. Constantine says a virus that what was the
Physical
line?
injuries as
Yeah.
a plague.
Physical injuries as a plague.
Brilliant. I love
Yeah,
that
that's a
line.
good line.
And he really connected with the doctor because they both had been a parent and a grandparent and a doctor, and now they're only a doctor.
And that's like foreshadowing or not
And that's
foreshadowing. Yeah.
just
It's subtext.
a reference that they're the same. And the doctor goes, "I understand," because he
Oh, I never got
just
that.
with the
Yeah.
whole time war that had happened.
Well,
just alone.
and Susan,
Yes.
Yeah, Susan.
specifically.
He says
Wow.
He traveled with Susan's granddaughter in the early.
the first
The
episode.
first doctor was with his granddaughter, Susan.
He says he said Dr. Constantine says, "Before I was a father and a grandfather, now I'm neither." And the doctor replies, "I know the feeling." And also
How did I miss that?
and
I
also
have no clue. How did you miss that?
Wow.
It was great. It was such a. I mean, it doesn't pan like we would nowadays on a big close up.
it's
But
just
the doctor
there.
just says
They
it
would do a
because he just feels
flashback
it.
to Susan's face
Right.
or
Yeah.
something.
That's what's great about rewatching everything. It's a very rewatchable show that you're always going to catch something, even if you forgot about it.
Yeah, we're still catching things, and I'm still missing things.
You'll catch it next time.
And also the title of this episode, "The Empty Child," is a reference to the first episode, "An Unearthly Child." So there's another reference there.
Oh, I didn't get that either.
There you go.
Cool.
Good-
I-
boy.
Why was the
I
first one
always-
called An Unearthly Child?
That's the
Because it's
first
Susan.
episode of Doctor Who. The very
kind of
first.
focuses on Susan.
In the 60s.
Oh,
in the
the
60s.
very first one.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, yeah.
Still haven't watched those.
No, the original.
Yeah.
I now have 2 copies of that. Apparently.
And also, is the empty child Jamie or Nancy?
Jamie.
Oh, it's Jamie.
It's Jamie.
I didn't know that was a question.
Because she says he's empty.
Dun,
Yeah, I
dun,
know, but that's the literal.
She just has an empty
And
belly.
the Walking Dead are zombies, but
He's being
really,
deep.
Who really is the Walking
who
Dead?
really is the Walking Dead?
Who?
All right, settle down. Come
And
back.
now we're back.
Wait, Doctor Who is really the Walking Dead?
Yes.
All right, your answers and more after the break. Anyway, John Barrowman said that the set where they filmed the Albion Hospital was actually haunted by one of the people working on the set said that it was, and he experienced some stuff. So
I swear, there's a ghost.
So I just thought that was worth pointing out there.
As we all know, ghosts are twice as scary as just a ghost.
I think 3 times.
Right. But in the end, it just turns out to be meddling children. Or pesky.
Now, Rose and Jack track the doctor to the hospital, and the doctor demands Jack to tell him about the Chula warship. Jack says that it is really an ambulance and it's empty, just junk. He used it to bait the doctor, thinking the TARDIS was a time agency ship. His plan was to sell them the Chula ship and destroy it before they could find out it was worthless. He claims that the ship has nothing to do with what is going on. Nancy goes back to the empty house to gather more food for the homeless children, but Jamie is there as well. Nancy tries to run, but Jamie stops her. As he slowly walks toward Nancy, across town, all the bodies in the hospital rise up and slowly walk toward the doctor, Rose, and Jack.
Dun, dun,
Dun!
To be continued when the doctor dances. Back to that scene that we just
At the intro,
Recap.
Jack.
Where they all meet up.
with Nancy going back to the house and getting more food.
Yeah.
Originally, Moffat had written that to be the bedroom, but it wasn't ready construction-wise, and then so it ended up being the dinner table again. And I think that's much more effective.
Yeah, why would
yeah,
you?
well,
Yeah,
you
why would you go
wouldn't
for
need
food
another-
in the bedroom?
No, I think she'd go for food, and then they'd be kind of chased her into the bedroom as well.
Yeah.
It sounded like.
Nah.
So I'm just saying that
Yeah,
But I
don't
like
need it.
where it is.
that practicality worked out.
Yeah, you don't miss it.
I did think there were some odd shots in there, like when the apple falls out of her pocket or something. It wasn't very clear. I did.
How did it fall out?
Yeah, like I mean, all day long I'm looking for stuff like that at my job. So when something doesn't quite match or track, I mean, within a split second you figure out what's going on. But I did think about what were the difficulties on set that they didn't get the proper footage
yeah.
and stuff like that. And I'm sure someone was like, oh, we'll make it work. We'll make it work in editing. Just get a shot like this and it should be fine.
It was funny that Rose gave him the name of Mr. Spock.
Yeah.
Because aren't you tired of Doctor Who? But like you
that
said
the
in the
first-
second paper, it was already John Smith. But I guess you didn't like that one and just thought Mr. Spock was a little bit more.
Yeah, I was gonna just that scene. I gained the feeling is Rose becoming annoyed with the doctor, like because she bugs him at the beginning about like just scan for alien tech, and
Right.
now she's like, what kind of name is the doctor? Doctor Who? Is that the first time she said that as
No.
well?
I
Okay,
think she said it.
I think Jackie has said it though.
okay.
But I think
yes,
Rose is just
Jackie said
getting
it.
more comfortable so she can
Yeah,
tease
she's
him.
getting-
I don't think she's upset with him. I think she's teasing him and knows.
No, but she's also
It's becoming more
saying she's having
familiar.
fun, but at the same time, she's also standing next to Jack Harkness.
That's the thing. I feel
Yeah, I
like
think
her whole
she's-
thing is like she's over it. Like, yeah, I kind of had a thing for the doctor, but wow, this guy is way better. So
Yeah, 'cause
let's
it's
see if
like,
I
yeah.
can
But
get
I think
a
she
chance
still
at
likes the
this
doctor,
one.
but she's
Well,
trying
she
to play him
does.
up also.
Oh yeah,
You know,
so it's like
he's well, name. Get
When
a
does
name.
when does she say the line? He's just like the doctor, except
Professional.
oh, it's next episode. Never mind. Yeah.
Speaking of the next episode, The Empty Child, along with its conclusion, The Doctor Dances, won the 2006 Hugo Award for Best Dramatic Presentation Short Form.
Good.
And here, going back to the actual episode, the doctor is saying that the human DNA is being rewritten.
Yes.
So that's a major point, I think.
Plot point.
When did he say that?
When he's
When he's
scanning.
examining with the sonic.
No,
He's examining
he's
the
back
patients?
with. We were talking
Dr.
about the Tula
Constantine.
warship with Jack and what's going on, and they're saying it's being rewritten by an idiot because somehow
being rewritten
something
by
is
an idiot. I do remember. that.
rewriting
right.
the human DNA to keep the gas mask and all this.
But they're also all connected because when the boy is like,
But they haven't
corners
figured it out.
Nancy, they all wake up in the hospital and start coming
Right.
towards the three of them.
Yeah. So
So-
Jamie has a psychic connection to all the others
because he's the first.
He's the
Right.
first, so he's the
Right. Or
captain.
inhabited.
and then a psychic connection with like radio waves.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think
He can
that's-
manipulate anything that has a speaker, anything that has that electronic.
Yeah.
Because
But that might be
along with the
explained in second
physical
episode, I
deformity,
can't
there's
remember.
the symptom of I add creepiness.
Yes,
I mean, they do explain it in the
It's
next
alien.
episode.
they do.
So I
Okay.
don't, we don't want to give it
Yeah.
away.
Yeah, we'll get that.
I also really liked the con that when Jack finally explains what he did, I felt was like a real. Well, that's like a real planned out con. It wasn't some haphazard like, oh, this didn't work out. Maybe I can, get these guys to give me some money. It was like, this is what I'm going to do. I got to find time agents, and then so it was an actual. I like that.
It was a good
It wa-
sting.
that that he wasn't an ex-time agent that happened upon some questionable circumstance.
Right.
He's a con man. He's a
used to this.
smuggler.
Yeah.
He's he's
And the whole episode was his plan.
the whole episode was his plan. The only thing that wasn't in the plan was finding the girl, and that derailed his.
Or landing near Jamie.
Oh, actually, no, it didn't
Landing near
because
Jamie.
he thought
Jamie.
he
She
was
was
looking
time
for
agent,
her.
yeah.
Right.
He was
Yeah.
looking for her because he thought she was the time agent. No,
But-
see, we're even discovering more as I talk about it.
And also that he set up this big sting, but even in the middle of the Blitz and World War II, he didn't create a plan that killed anybody.
Right.
He wasn't like a con man who didn't,
No,
It
no.
wasn't like this Levine.
No, he was kind of like
It's
the con
I'm
man.
setting
that-
up this big thing and it's going to destroy the world and we don't care. He is like, the bomb landed where it wouldn't kill anybody,
Mm-hmm.
and then as of now, this date, it would get bombed itself and go away.
Right.
You know.
Thinking like I didn't do anything wrong. He just
He
didn't
didn't-
do all
yeah.
his homework.
It's kind of like a white collar crime, but not. Never mind.
It's like the housing crisis.
But also, being the time agent, he wants to blend in to his surroundings whenever he goes.
I also think he just wanted to get that jacket.
I think he just went back to the most fashionable era.
But he dressed the part, and then
Yeah.
I love the banter they had about Rose is just sticking out with the whole Union Jack
Yeah.
and the sore thumb, and the captain or the doctor being
The U-boat captain.
yes,
Oh, Flag Girl and
Yeah.
U-boat.
Oh, is that why he
captain.
was making fun of them? Thinking like, why wouldn't you
Yeah.
dress for the part?
Yes.
Right.
But after that, Jack never dresses for the part. He's
no, but that's
kind
what a time agent would do. And that's why it's like, you guys aren't even time agents, you're freelancers because you're not even dressed
You
right.
stand
wouldn't-
out like a
Oh,
how could I have not seen that or registered that earlier?
okay, yeah.
It's like-
So back to Captain Jack. John Barrowman's grandmother actually had a real bomb shelter in Glasgow, Scotland. So he had a lot to relate to with this episode. And furthermore,
My mom lived through one.
yeah.
Yeah, they in Dublin. They they were neutral, so they weren't bombed. But then there were bombings going on one night that they all just huddled in their living room, and the Nazis said later that it was pilot error because they were going to Belfast.
Oof.
And the thing is, they hit the Jewish section of Dublin.
Yeah.
And so my mom was never.
The same.
No. But she was liars. They knew exactly what they were doing.
Oh, yeah. The kids in the original script had a bigger role, but they couldn't film at night because of, I guess, laws or...
Oh, labor laws.
Yeah,
They're very strict. They're
Yeah.
stricter than we
Were
are
they
in
going
the
to
US.
sing and pick pockets?
probably. That would have been funny. I bet Captain Jack would have been involved.
I don't think he's that much
Well,
of
'cause
a
he's-
pervert.
No,
No, singer.
no singing.
Song and dance man. You what?
Speaking of songs, the Moonlight Serenade and In the Mood by Glenn Miller are heavily used and through these next two episodes. And
Some of my parents' favorites.
yeah, they paid to get these rights. I think that was very, very. It sets the time and the
It's-
period.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
very well done.
Yes.
Also, I read that when the doctor is looking at the hand through the mailbox, and he's like, "There's no one here but us chickens." Oh, well, one chicken. I found out that the song that Jamie starts playing over the radio right before then is called "No One Here But Us Chickens."
Oh, really?
So
Very
that's
cool.
the doctor recognized the music, and
Oh,
that's
that's
what
funny.
prompted him to say that.
I like that.
Yeah, because I'd never heard it before.
I never.
so-
Yeah, I'd have to hear it again.
That quote was so familiar to me. I'm like, where is it from? And then thank you for clarifying.
I always
Wanna
think
talk
there's
about
a.
Nancy a little bit.
Sure.
Because Frank and I were talking about Nancy. Nancy would be a perfect companion.
Oh,
I think she would
absolutely.
be great.
Yeah.
I think we see that in a lot of episodes. Actually, the doctor, we have a third character, minor character, but impresses the doctor, and I always wonder if Rose was not already his companion, would he try to invite?
Recruit?
Yeah.
Not try, but would he invite this character to be
Yeah.
his companion? And then I
I
also think
would
it's
have loved to have seen more stories with, that kind of a character, young World War II era. Because lately it's always people in the present. He picks up companions in the present, but it wasn't always that way.
He would get some from the future or the past.
Yeah, in the classic show,
Yeah.
they were from all over the place.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and
I'd like that. I'd like
Yeah.
to see
yeah.
that.
So Nancy would have been, I think, and the actress I think could have done
Oh,
a
she's
great
great.
job.
Even now,
And they could have thrown, Jamie
pick
into
her
the
up
back of
if
the
you
TARDIS.
know a little bit later in the 50s or in the 60s, however. Because I think the actress and the character are both really
Well,
good.
even in the episode with David Tennant, the Blink episode, it's almost like the companion without the doctor,
Right.
Yeah, those are doctorless episodes, which we'll talk about in a couple
or
episodes.
Doctor Ish. 'Cause
Dr. Light.
But never play Pictionary with this doctor because he draws.
Oh
really
my
bad.
goodness.
Oh, yeah, it's such a horrible drawer.
What? That's a pickle? What is this?
It looked like this.
Scribble.
Well,
Scribble.
okay.
I'm like, I got
So do
one
a
in
lot
the
of things.
backyard.
It's like, all right, throw him a roll. Get out.
Yeah, what is that? Jeez. I guess this doctor doesn't have the ability to draw, but he has the ability to smell. Anyway, would we recommend this episode to a Who Knew viewer? Brian.
Yes, emphatically, 100%. This is a yes. I love this episode. I love everything about it. And can I say yes more?
Frank.
This to me is a quintessential Doctor Who. When I was watching it, I could see this same episode being played with all the different incarnations of the Doctor. I could see this, especially with Tom Baker and all the other ones. They would film it differently if they had this episode back then. Different angles, the effects.
Yeah.
But I could still see this episode being so Doctor Who. So no. Yes, definitely. This would be a good one to start.
That's no for Frank. Arlene.
Yes, I think it's a wonderful episode. The only thing is, I was actually talking to a friend earlier today, and he's a really big Doctor Who fan, and his wife walks in every once in a while and kind of watches an episode. And he goes, I actually didn't let my wife watch this episode because she gets scared very easily. So I thought if she watched this, she wouldn't want to watch any other episodes with me. So yes, 100%
For you.
for me, but for people who get scared easily, no.
But if I can, I know we don't usually argue about this, but if you don't like this episode, I don't think you'll like Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Because Doctor Who
It has scary episodes.
Yeah.
and it's has so much. So this, I think, is a good caliber for that. That if you really don't like this, most of the series you're not going to like.
No.
So I invite his wife over and force her to watch it.
There you go. Just tie her like
right.
Clockwork Orange.
That's perfect.
Just put some cushions behind the sofa
That
so
won't
she can jump back there.
That won't scare her at all.
Just turn on every light in the house.
Yeah.
Get some alcohol.
But tie her down.
Josh.
Oh, that's right. You're not saying anything. Yeah, absolutely. But since it's a two-parter, that's a tricky one because I think this has to be included with the second one. Otherwise, you're just going to be wondering what happened. But everything that you guys just said, the fact that it had all the elements that make it a good episode.
Good. Kelsey.
Before I say, Arlene, I like that you shared that story because your friend's wife, that was me up until this episode. Like, my husband would be watching it. I'd wander in, watch a few minutes, maybe half an hour, and then wander back out.
So were you talking to
This-
Auburn earlier? Was that the friend you were?
Yeah. But this episode almost made me stop watching with him because it was so scary. But then, as I said before, it was also the scariness and the creepiness factor made me keep watching. So my answer would be I would join all of you and say yes, it's a good first episode.
I would have to agree, and the majority rules on this one that this is our first majority that.
Now, if Auburn
Do you want to?
could give an opinion,
Thumb up
what
or
would
thumb
his-
down? Thumb up.
He
Thumbs
would be a
up.
yes. Oh, and just trust us on that.
So it's
We have our first.
100%.
This is our first.
And I,
A 100 unanimous. We would
100.
recommend episode.
And I would recommend this episode wholeheartedly. This is a good family fun, wholesome quality watching. You can watch it with kids.
I think so.
Three
Even
and
though
up.
it's scary. It's a healthy
3 and up.
scary. It's a family-friendly scary.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's also historical. You'll learn some stuff about history,
Yeah.
I think.
kind of.
Okay, so that
Garage
wrap.
Maroons had cables, not ropes. Anyway,
And it's also, if you have little kids, then you can then start talking to your little kids about war.
and
What is
Hitler
it?
is.
And what is it
And
good
what
for?
is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
Say it again.
No. So that wraps up The Empty Child. Do you find this episode particularly scary? And do you pronounce it Mauve or Mauve? Let us know. Email us at whoknewpodcast@gmail.com. Join us next time as we discuss the Dr.
Dun, dun,
Dances.
dun.
That's not... Okay, we're not going to do that again. So we will see you next time when the future becomes the present.
You've just listened to an episode of Who Knew?
Our wonderful theme music is by Michael Grady. You can find his work at theuniverseexplodes.com.
You can also find this show on several places. Follow us on Twitter at Who Knew Podcast. Subscribe, review, and listen to us on iTunes and Stitcher or our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Who Knew Podcast.
All our episodes are on whoknewpodcast.com. You can leave comments there or email us at whoknewpodcast@gmail.com.
This podcast is inspired by Doctor Who, the longest-running sci-fi show in history, and especially the revival spearheaded by Russell T. Davis.
Thanks to Russell, Sidney Newman, Verity Lambert, Ron Grainer, and all those involved in the adventures of our favorite Time Lord.
Your work continues to inspire and entertain.
I think we should practice saying dun 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 all at the same time.
I think
See,
it'd
she
be
did it a different tone.
hilarious.
We're all doing it differently.